James Harden's now a Clipper, but it's the Philadelphia 76ers that made the deal or no deal of a lifetime. I'll also tell you why Chris Paul has got the Golden State Warriors right up there at the tippy top of the Western Conference. And I think the Houston Rockets might have signed someone who, no offense, is a little bit slow. Just a little bit. Stay tuned. What's up, everyone? Another edition of Tricky Guy Sports. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B. Got some things to discuss today, mostly NBA, and I want to get right into the James Harden trade over there to the Los Angeles Clippers. I want to discuss something that's it was kind of an epiphany here, and I'm going to get into also LeBron, Chris Paul. There's a lot of things I'm going to put around this category, but basically I was realizing a lot of you sports fans are a victim of what I call deal or no deal thinking. What do I mean by deal or no deal thinking? I'm glad you asked. In case you've never watched the show Deal or No Deal, this was an old game show that was on NBC, was a huge hit for a while. Howie Mandel, before he went off to judge America's Got Talent, used to host this show, Deal or No Deal, where you'd pick a suitcase and it could be all sorts of things, and at the end you had to make all these decisions. Most of y'all know the show Deal or No Deal, right? It was without question, and I mean without question, one of the most frustrating shows in the history of ever for me to watch. Because again, it started off the show where you had 30 cases to pick from and you just randomly picked one. There was no, way to up your odds or do anything other than just test your luck. And then after a while, you would narrow it down by picking other random suitcases. And the goal is that the one of 30 you picked had the million in the suitcase. And man, dude, they always piss me off because so many people who absolutely needed a lot of money and a lot of help would go home broke because they would never take the deal. It'd always be some sad-ass thing like this guy here, Richie. They'd always have some sob story, too, where, they'd ask him, why are you on the show? Why do you need the money? It'd always be something, serious, a true need of like, man, my daughter, she's got her foot attached to her head and I need reconstructive surgery. Or, I have $480,000 in student loans and I'm going to be arrested for, tax fraud or something if I don't pay it. Or my grandma, she needs gastric bypass because we can't squeeze her through the door anymore. Anyways, there was always some sad story, and almost every time without fail, if you watch this show, it would get down to a point because during the negotiation, you would get a call and this fake banker would give you a chance to opt out with something guaranteed. You may not get $1 million, you may not have $1 million in that case, but you'll at least walk home with $300,000, $200,000, and Lord knows you need the money. Please take the deal. Every time I watch this show, that would happen. $1 million or a dollar could be in that case. You need the money, absolutely. What are you going to do without the money? I don't know, I'm going to go crazy. Well, you have an opportunity here. Do you want to take the $300,000, $400,000 guaranteed, or do you want to risk it? I want to risk it all. And always in the family, there'd be some wacky aunt or some other nonsense who would try to tell them, I know the million's in the case, even though there was no way to guarantee that there was $1 million in the case. And I'd always watch these sad losers go home, and it would piss me off and it would depress me to no end because, damn it, sometimes in life, the sure thing is better than going for the risk. Yes, there could be $1 million in that case. There could also be $1. There could also be $10. And you're being right now offered $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to take your sorry ass home and fulfill the needs you need fulfilled. And so many times I watched them not do it, and it would drive me absolutely insane. When I look at what happened, including the James Harden trade and in the NBA and other things that happened in the sports world, a lot of times you guys are victims of deal or no deal thinking. Matter of fact, I'm going to keep the music up. Because I'll give you examples of what I'm talking about now. You think of the New England Patriots. Deal or no deal thinking. There could be $1 million out there. Tom Brady's been good, but he's getting old. I don't want to take the deal. I want to go and risk and try to find a new young quarterback and start a new era. How'd that work out for New England? The Raiders, just today, Las Vegas Raiders. Oh, Derek Carr, he's good, but he's not elite. We need to bring in a young, sexy like a Garoppolo. We need to bring in, McDaniels. Yes, there was a coaching situation, but still, he comes from New England. He comes from the Belichick tree and all that. Well, today, their GM, their coach, and offensive coordinator just got fired because it turns out that was all fool's gold. You should have took the deal. Chicago Bulls back in the day, Jerry Krause. I'm going to blow up The Last Dance. I'm going to blow up Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and Phil Jackson. Because I got Tony Kukoc. I got to think about the future. What could be in the future? Could be $1 million case. Or you could not make the finals since the last time you did that. Edmonton Oilers back in the day. Oh, we got some, Wayne Gretzky's good, but if we trade him now, we're going to get 3 first-round picks. We're going to get some young prospects. How'd that work out? Dallas Mavericks way back in the day. We're going to let Steve Nash go. He's good. He's a sure thing. We could take the deal and just re-sign Steve for like $60 million for the next 6 years. But we're going to let him go to the Suns. How did that work out for you? It's deal or no deal thinking. So that's basically my point when I'm trying to explain what am I trying to say. Don't be like these people, sports fans, general managers, and others when it comes to this. I look at things like I said, LeBron James. Let me go back to this one more time because I've discussed this multiple times. LeBron James will follow his son. I've been putting out some TikToks and some other things about teams that need to draft Bronny next year, whether his heart condition works out or not, because it's going to also include LeBron James. And apparently people don't know this. Apparently people still think that he's going to stay in Los Angeles. I got bad news for you. LeBron is leaving Los Angeles. Let me go ahead and just ruin that surprise for you right now. The LA Lakers do not have any first-round picks nor draft capital in order to draft Bronny James. LeBron is going where his son is going. The only thing that could stop it is if Bronny's congenital heart failure is too much for him to so far be able to be a one-and-done player. Still hasn't gotten back to USC. But still, if he is available, made himself available, gets himself an agent, hires, Rich Paul, and go ahead and makes him eligible for the draft, I am taking him because, again, it's not just that you get Bronny, you get LeBron. You can Google all of this. There's a million articles like this. Lakers' key to keeping LeBron James past the season is son Bronny amid NBA rumors. This is the worst-kept secret in all of basketball. So to me, it's deal or no deal thinking. Yes, could you use a first-round pick on something better? Could you possibly get more than just a Bronny James? I don't know. But I do know that if you take the deal, you'll get LeBron. I mean, again, I'm going to call the banker here. Yeah, you could have $1 million case, sure. You also have a lot of needs. You also have things you can do. I look at teams like the Atlanta Hawks, San Antonio Spurs, Chicago Bulls, Indiana Pacers, New York Knicks next year, who all have multiple first-round picks or a lot of first-round picks in the next couple years. And yes, by picking Bronny, could he never play a game? Absolutely. But I'm going to take the deal. I'm going to settle for the $300,000. You know why? Because it comes with LeBron James. And who wouldn't like any first-round pick? Let me just put it this way. If I was to guarantee you, as much as humanly possible, that one of your first-round draft picks would at least give you, 25-7-7 for the next 3 years, be a hardworking, good teammate, unselfish, locker room leader type. If I was able to combine all that and hand it to you guaranteed, rather than you go for the $1 million case, would you not take that deal? If I could promise you that a first-round pick was at least for the next 2-3 years, 25-7-7, locker room guy, good leader, unselfish, going to make people better. Oh, and by the way, that's just half of that deal. You do also get a prospect that if his heart works out, could actually be a good player. A lot of you say no, and I think you're idiots. I'm sorry. You take that deal. Oh, the sure thing boat never gets far offshore. It stays afloat. Sometimes a bird in the hand is worth 2 in your bush, or whatever we want to say, whatever you want to call it, wink, wink. But I mean, seriously, sometimes, yes, the sure boat never, sails that far away from shore, but at least it still floats. At least it's not the Titanic. You take the deal. Golden State Warriors did a beautiful job, in my opinion, of taking the deal. They were so smart in taking the deal instead of going for the $1 million case. Chris Paul versus Jordan Poole is a beautiful example of what I'm talking about. Jordan Poole might go on to be an all-star. Jordan Poole's a lot younger. Jordan Poole's going to play for another 8-10 seasons as long as everything works out. Chris Paul's got 2 years left. Yeah, that's fantastic. You know what? So do the Warriors. Between Draymond's extension, Klay's hopefully extension, and Steph's contract, they got about 2-3 years left of actually having a chance to win the title. Jordan Poole 5 years from now doesn't help us. He could be $1 million case. He could be the future. He could be one of the best players in the league. Who knows? I know right now Chris Paul is Chris Paul. I know right now he makes the second unit better. I know right now he adds plus 31 so far as of the recording of this podcast into the bench plus minus, which has been a nightmare for them. I know they're back to playing unselfish, high chemistry, high IQ basketball. Jordan Poole might be worth $1 million case. I don't know. They took the deal. They called the banker and they said, you know what? I'll settle for that $300,000 because I could have $1 in my case. I could have $1 million in my case, and I don't want to risk it. I want to take the deal. We have needs now. We have to do things now. New York Knicks, San Antonio Spurs. I'll throw in maybe the Rockets, Atlanta Hawks. If you have multiple first-round picks, yes, Bronny could never work out one day in his life. And yes, there might be a better first-round pick overall that you could swing and miss and get for, but you are going to get guaranteed 25, 7, and 7 in LeBron. You're going to get an unselfish guy. You're going to get a team leader. Guaranteed. Take the deal. Take the money. Not to mention ticket sales and everything else and all the other things that are going to make him better and make your team better and make your franchise better and attract more free agents. The Warriors took the deal. They made the smart move. They went and got Chris Paul, sacrificed Jordan Poole, and whatever he could be in the future. Any team who drafts Bronny next year, because LeBron is leaving Los Angeles, Google this and find this out for yourself, is getting guaranteed for the next couple years 25, 7, and 7. You take that deal. Reason I bring all this up, Philadelphia 76ers, they took the deal. They didn't go for the $1 million case. They decided no longer to wait for any more, and I thought that was brilliant. Trading and getting rid of James Harden for a couple first-round picks, even though, yes, it didn't include Terrence Mann, and there was a couple other things they maybe could have got if they would have waited and done all that. They said, screw all that. We don't know if we got $1 left in this case, or we don't know if we got $1 million. But either way, we're taking the deal. We're getting out of this. James Harden is now a Los Angeles Clipper. And LA Clippers, you are the people that, in my opinion, are sitting around, oh, I know we got $1 million in the case, you're going to end up with $1. You don't have $1 million case. You're taking an extreme risk that I don't think is going to work out. But in case you didn't hear about it, yes, James Harden, now Philadelphia 76er, is now a Los Angeles Clipper. And I thought the Clippers got, a pretty decent deal here. They got a couple first-round picks. They got a couple seconds. They got some decent players in Covington, Batum, Morris, Martin Jr. L.A. Clippers basically got James Harden. Yes, P.J. Tucker, Petrusev, and I think a pick swap or something. But basically, the trade went down and the deal went down. It was James Harden goes to Los Angeles to join now Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, PG-13, Zubac, Terrence Mann, that whole group. And the Philadelphia 76ers did get rid of Harden and did get rid of a possible, another Eastern Conference Finals Game 7 run. But they also got, in return, instead of losing the Beard and his playoff woes and his inconsistencies and his malcontent attitude and everything else, they got back 2 first-round picks. They got back 2 second-round picks, and they were able to get some decent players as well. I thought the Philadelphia 76ers did a great job and said, deal or no deal, we'll take the deal. We don't need all... Yes, we could have held on. We could have tried to get more. We could have asked for Terrence Mann. They were running out of so many options in Philadelphia, and they're looking at the overall big picture here and saying, you know what, we got Joel Embiid we got to worry about. We have a future and a window that we can go ahead and extend here. We don't need to worry about getting the absolute most. We don't need to worry about having $1 million in the case. We'll take the $300-400 grand and we'll call it a night, and we'll go ahead and make our lives a lot better. We'll take the sure thing. Sometimes the sure thing is better than the risk. And I thought Philadelphia did an unbelievable job of getting this done, because if you look at what they got now, they are doing so much better. They got $45 million, by the way. Those role players they got in Batum and others are expiring contracts. So next year, the Philadelphia 76ers, yes, they do have to keep Embiid happy. But in order to keep him happy, now they got $56 million in cap space. Maxey looks unbelievable, averaging 30 points a game. They can now re-sign Maxey over the cap because of the deals and bird rights and however all that contract stuff works out. So they get to re-sign Maxey for over the cap. They got $56 million now in spending that they can use next season. They have a trade package that even Wojnarowski has said that was on the level of the Drew Holiday with, multiple now first-round picks. They have 3 total. They got multiple second-round picks they can use, 4. They got 3 pick swaps. They can now make a deal this season with the acquisitions they got from the Los Angeles Clippers and try to make another deal out of this in order to get another player back to hopefully make Joel happy, plus a lot of money in cap space with all the expiring contracts and everything else. Yes, they could have got more for James Harden. Yes, they could have took the extreme risk and see if Harden and Morey could have got along again and try to, patch things up and move on. But instead, they just said, you know what? Boom, I'm out. Give me the case. I'm out of here. I'm going to take my quick money. I'm going to run with it because if I'm smart, I know what I can do with it. And I think if any team, Philadelphia definitely understands why sometimes it's better to take the deal. Ask him about James Harden. Ask him about Ben Simmons. Ask him about some of the other, weird or risky moves that they made. I think Morey finally went, whew, man, I'm out of this. I'm just taking the safe thing. And now he looks so smart. Los Angeles Clippers, on the other side of this, I'm sorry, you don't. I think you guys, you're waiting for that million. Oh, your fingers are crossed, aren't you? Your fingers are crossed. This is $1 million case, and I got bad news for you. I don't think you got anything but $1 sitting on there. Yes, on paper, you look absolutely phenomenal, from the top, 5 or 6. If you go by a video game or on paper standards, the Los Angeles Clippers should actually be very excited, even in a very loaded Western Conference. When you have James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Zubac, man coming off the bench, Powell's a great shooter, that is a great 7 to 8 man rotation if everyone's healthy, and if everyone gets along, and if everyone's able to get their shots, and if I had wheels, I'd be a wagon. I mean, there's just too many ifs, there's too many inconsistencies, there's too much. You are literally that guy I was looking at earlier, that poor bastard. This is the epitome of what you guys are. The LA Clippers, I'm going to show this one more time. You are Richie Bell. You are this poor sad sack who has a choice and had a choice of $416,000, but there could be $1 in there and there could be $1 million. And he's like, man, I'll tell you what, man, I'm just going to go ahead. I know I got it. I know I got the $1 million. Why take the 416? Why take, we could get more. I mean, bringing in Harden is an unbelievably risky move considering he and Westbrook lasted together for a year just a couple years ago and both requested trades out. They were adding, along with other malcontent, Kawhi Leonard, another guy who's mercurial, who's moody. Oh, by the way, all 4 of them love to have the ball in their hands. But James Harden could be the point guard we're missing. The last few years, since 2019, we haven't had a point guard average at least 6 assists. I mean, he led the league in assists last year. Yes, he did. He's also one of the biggest pains in the ass you could possibly find, along with Russell Westbrook, who can also be one of the biggest pains in the ass you can possibly find. Ask the San Antonio Spurs how fun Kawhi can be if he's in a bad mood. You're Richie Bell. You're staring at $416,000, but you know that even though no one's been able to make these combinations work, that you're going to get that $1 million, that you have $1 million in your case. And I'm sorry, just like this poor sad sack is just about to find out, and all his family, you're going to be able to save grandma, or whatever the sad story was about all this. You're going to be able to do it. Open the case, Howie. Open the case. We know it's $1 million. Clippers fans know it's $1 million. This is so brutal to watch. I just hate watching. This is so damn sad. Is this poor bastard? There it goes. $1. $1. LA Clippers, you got $1. I don't think this is going to work out. You don't have any draft picks now. Also, let's include that. You don't own any of your rights till 2030. I think the LA Clippers made a horrible move here. I think the Philadelphia 76ers made an absolutely brilliant move. When you look at, the big thing about this is Embiid, Maxi's the future. Now you got cap space. Now you got draft picks to go ahead and make some, either moves this season or next offseason. Hell, this season you could still work for if you have Drew Holiday level things that you could move around and trade here for a Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Pascal Siakam, Buddy Hield, all very nice players to add to Maxey and Embiid. I mean, there's a real possibility Philadelphia is not out of the race just yet, and I think made themselves a lot better in their own situation by taking the deal and not having it could be $1 million in my case thought. Instead of, doing, like I said, some of these other, guys from way back in the day, Belichick thinking I could do better than Brady. I think I got $1 million in the case. The Raiders, we don't need Derek Carr. We need an elite quarterback. We're going to bring in Garoppolo. He had great numbers in San Francisco. We're going to be the Chicago Bulls. We're going to go ahead and say, the Last Dance is great, but we have Tony Kukoc. We have a future. I have $1 million in that case. I'm not going to take the deal. Edmonton Oilers, let's trade Wayne Gretzky. We can get back multiple picks and prospects. Dallas Mavericks way back in the day. Let's go ahead and let Steve Nash go for $63 million because his back's bad. And we're going to go, we have other prospects and things we can do with that money. Well, think of all the things we can do. We got $1 million somewhere else. No, you don't. None of y'all do. You all look like idiots. I think the LA Clippers are going to join you in looking like idiots. I mean, I'm sorry. Daryl Morey, I don't think is that bad of a person. And James Harden has now been a proven pain in the ass. I mean, the fact that he thought this was a bright idea this offseason, to call his own general manager a liar after years of having friendship, I mean, the fact that any team took the bait on this dude is fascinating to me. It's fascinating.
Is a liar.
Listen to that again.
Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of.
Adding that with Russell Westbrook and Kawhi Leonard, you must be out your rabbit-ass mind. Not to mention, I mean, the fact was that wasn't even like they caught him offhand. Like, he knew. They put a damn one of the clip mics on him. He said that out loud into a crowd. during a trade negotiation. It is kind of sad that this actually worked out for him to get to his preferred destination. He's from LA. He wanted to be in LA. And I mean, the fact that he's on his fourth trade request in the last 4 or 5 seasons, that he still gets what he wants whenever he wants to do it.
Whatever, I'll do what I want.
It's sad but true that sometimes these things do work out in the short term, but I still don't think the Los Angeles Clippers, even if everything worked out, even in the best case scenario, I don't think actually are the best contenders in the West. Denver Nuggets are still the best out there. Still got LA. You're going to have Golden State this year. Phoenix Suns when they get healthy. Sacramento Kings are no joke. I mean, there are so many people to worry about out there in the Western Conference that even if everything did work out, that even if you did have the $1 million case, I don't think it's going to be enough. But the infinitesimal odds that you're going to get this guy along with all the others to get along and spread the ball and not be injury prone or not have issues in the play, there's just too many ifs, there's too many this, there's too many that's. If I had wheels, I'd be a wagon type scenario. I just don't think it was a good idea. All right, moving on. Let me get into something besides the deal or no deal here. I had a hell of a deal just happen to me recently, and I want to discuss a few things that happened from it. I was lucky enough to get floor seats to the Rockets-Warriors game the other day, and it was unbelievable. I mean, I really can't explain. If you ever have the opportunity, if you ever have the chance, if you're ever able to go ahead and get to be so lucky as I was, as to be literally on the floor to watch one of my favorite teams play in Golden State as they took on the Houston Rockets, it's something, it's surreal.
Is this real life?
It's phenomenal. So I'm not trying to rub that in, but I do want to say I did have some thoughts from the game, and I do have some thoughts about the NBA involving Steph Curry, Chris Paul, and Dillon Brooks. I really have a thought I want to get into on Dillon Brooks. But what are some of my thoughts from the floor as I got to watch the Warriors and Steph put on a fourth quarter performance and do everything that he did and be able to put on a hell of a show, and I was right there to see the whole thing. Some of the first things I want to say is that, I still got to reiterate this. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are something that if you ever get a chance to go live to watch Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors, if they ever come to your town, I don't care if you're in the nosebleeds or if you're on the floor, what you need to do is get there the hour and a half early or whenever they let the door open and watch them just warm up. Just watching Steph Curry and Klay Thompson warm up is one of the coolest experiences if you're a true fan of basketball and you want to get inspired and you want to be just awestruck. Watch Klay Thompson and Steph Curry if they come to your town. Not just play the game, get there an hour early and watch them shoot a basketball. It is unbelievably beautiful to watch. There's nothing cooler than watching two of literally the best to ever do something. And I was lucky enough to do it. Let me go ahead and turn the music down on this. I guess I can leave this one up. This was just beautiful to watch. Watching Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, this is footage from our phone. This is how close we were. But watching these guys shoot a basketball, if you've ever shot a basketball, if you've ever tried to play at any level that's somewhat elite, yes, watching the game is great, but watch these two. They don't miss. This is, like I said, this is like watching McCartney and Lennon rehearse before a concert. This is like watching, Shakespeare, at a lunch table somewhere writing, and you're like, oh, what are you writing about? Oh, this thing, Macbeth, I don't know, it might be good, might be bad. Watching them even just practice is truly one of the coolest things you can do because look at this. For people not on YouTube right now and watching, I mean, the form, and even just, again, the yin and the yang of it. The fact that they're the two best shooters in the world, they're on the same team is rare enough. But they're also, again, one's the rhythm shooter, one's the form shooter. One's McCartney, one's Lennon. One's the free spirit, one's the more, classically trained, more in sync kind of guy like that. Klay Thompson, the form shooter, and Steph, the rhythm shooter. You can see the differences in both of them, even just the way they dribble around and the way they do things. But if you watch just the smoothness and the absolute, if you ever get to a game to watch and you can watch other guys warm up and then watch these two, even amongst other NBA players, it's night and day. But look at the way Steph Curry, it just drops in every single time. He's not even concentrating. He's just kind of dicking around right now. Klay Thompson, that is the perfect form on a shot. If you watch Klay Thompson right here, just absolutely beautiful form, classic form. Steph Curry, also, by the way, just making shots from half court. Again, they're dicking around. Most people can't say they got to watch McCartney and Lennon rehearse before a concert. Most people can't say they watched Shakespeare write a sonnet. But you can actually go somewhere and watch these two warm up and watch the two best at something ever do it. And it's just a beautiful thing to see. 1 out of 8 billion. 1 out of 8 billion. Again, now that I've looked it up, there's 8 billion people on the earth. Those are the two best out of 8 billion to do something currently. Let's say 1 out of 8. So let's just say, okay, let's take it again down to a billion. Let's say 1 out of 8 people have ever picked up and shot a basketball. That means they're the best out of a billion. What does that actually mean, by the way? The odds of that? The odds of being as good as these two are? I'm sincerely glad you asked, because it's absolutely mind-blowing to think about. If you're the best out of a billion at something, like these two are, and the privilege it is to get to watch them do this all day long, and get there early and check it out for yourself, and just be... It's just interesting. But again, let me get into the math of this. So 1 out of a billion. What is trying to explain to you how hard it is to find anyone at anything who's the best out of a billion at something? The odds to win the Powerball lottery are 1 in 292 million. So you have a better chance, usually in life, of seeing or winning, at least meeting the person who won the Powerball lottery. You have a 1 in 292 million chance there. That is significantly better than being able to see the best shooter of all time and actually the 1B right next to him. That even adds more to the infinitesimal odds. A perfect bracket in the NCAA tournament, by low expectations, is 1 out of a billion. You have about the same chance of getting a perfect bracket as you should be in your life to see someone who's the best out of a billion at something. A billion grains of sand is about 14 shoeboxes. This is the best way I can describe it. So let's say, trying to be able to find out and see the undisputed best of a billion at something, let me just put it to you in this final number. There are about 14 if I filled 14 shoeboxes with very finely grained sand, that would be about 1 billion pieces of sand, grains of sand. If I then took that and multiplied it by 8, that means that you now have 112 shoeboxes. The equivalent of finding the two best out of a billion at something, the way you're able to watch these two be the best at something, is if I put out 112 shoeboxes of finely grained sand, and I ask you to find the one grain of gold in 112 shoeboxes full of sand. That is the same statistical odds as being the best out of 8 billion at something. These two are the best out of 8 billion. I don't even think it can be disputed. Can it be disputed? I mean, Steph Curry is considered undisputed, but Klay Thompson's right there. Do y'all understand? Klay Thompson, by the way, does have the record 9 threes in a quarter. He does have the record for most threes in a half. He does have the record for most games in a 5-game playoff. He does have the record for most threes in a game. He's hit 14 threes in a game. He has the record at 37 points in a quarter. And he's actually the second best out of a billion. The guy above him, the other guy, Steph Curry, most threes in NBA history. Most threes made in a season. Most threes made in the playoffs. Most threes made in the finals. Most threes made in consecutive games. Most three-point games of at least 10 three-point field goals made or more. They go on and on and on. These two guys by themselves have the records all time, everywhere. They're the best two shooters that a billion people have tried and failed to do to be better than those two. They are the best at it. It was so fun to watch. It is so cool. If you ever get a chance to watch them warm up, I fully recommend it. The game is great, but just watching them just be able to do what they do, and they're not even paying attention, is one of the coolest experiences of my life. And you can call me romantic or dramatic or whatever else. You can kiss my ass. I found it absolutely unbelievable. All right, what else did I get from finding out from watching the game with the Warriors-Rockets the other day? I also thought it was very interesting. I think this is something that could also be a little bit more universal to everyone else, but it should have made sense, as I discussed briefly earlier, the CP3 deal. Another thought that I had from watching this game is that, man, and it was so cool because, again, we're right there. We're right now. I mean, we were on the right next to the visitors' bench, so I was 8 feet from watching this. Chris Paul and Draymond Green are already good friends. They're like little BFFs, and I predicted this a while ago, and it should have made sense to you. This actually does pan out. All these people that were saying, what about Draymond and Chris? Could they get along? Not only are they getting along, I was an eyewitness to, they were sitting at the end of the bench, both, buddied up. BFFs. You would have thought they should have had a necklace with the missing pendant and put it together. They were clearly already getting along very well and discussing the game. There was seemed to be friction. There didn't seem to be any sort of, issues or whatever. I think they both understand what a lot of athletes before them have already understood. That a lot of times you hate your rival because you hate your reflection. A lot of times there's a lot of stories of when rivals in sports become teammates, great rivals. They come to find out the reason they hated each other so much is because they were so damn similar. They are by far not at the small end of this. I mean, there's a million examples I can give you, like Kobe Bryant and Ron Artest used to hate each other's guts. They got together, won a championship. Same with Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, Bad Boy Pistons. When they got together way back in the day, they were able to make things happen because, they were able to see we actually see eye to eye. We're actually on the same page. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman from the Bad Boy Pistons to keep that little narrative going. You want to talk about hating each other's guts? Go look up the Jordan rules and find out how rough and tough Rodman and the Pistons were. But when Rodman showed up to Chicago, once they figured it all out, they all got along great. You think of LeBron, Lance Stevenson. I mean, there's a lot of other examples that you can go along with. Magic and Bird were never on the same court together on a professional sports team, but in USA basketball, they are still best friends to this day, and that relationship really was solidified at that point, and they hated each other's guts before that. So many athletes find out, and so many people, and so many guys, this is a very guy thing. You'll end up fighting someone, and they actually put up a good fight, and you'll be like, all right, nice punch. You want a beer? Next thing you know, they're working out. They're all together the next couple weeks, and they're going out together, and they're starting crap with other people. Now suddenly they'll die for each other. I mean, it's so common with guys. The way we sometimes, and really the competitive ones, are really highlighted by this. A warrior appreciates another warrior once it's joined them. They don't like their reflection. They hate their reflection when they have to go against it, when they have to have an adversarial relationship because they're so difficult to beat because they're so similar. And at the time, they usually don't see they're so similar. Now they see that they're similar when they get put together on the same team, a la Kobe Artest, a la Laimbeer Mahorn, a la Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman, Lance Stevenson, LeBron, Magic Bird. There's a million examples of this, and Chris Paul and Draymond Green are right alongside this. And it really should have made more sense to a lot more people, but I got to see it 8 feet from me. I was watching them just totally yap it up, get along. One point, Draymond got fouled during the game. Chris Paul was the first one running off the bench, talking crap to the ref. How dare you? We're only 4 games in, and they've already buddied up. I saw this coming. A lot of y'all should have saw this coming. And yes, I know all the stuff they said to each other. I even have a little compilation of it. Let me go ahead and find it. CP and Dre here. I mean, yes, once upon a time, Draymond Green, I publicly said I don't like Chris Paul. It's not going to be like that change just because he's my teammate now. I look forward to talking to him. Then later there was another quote, I don't like CP at all. We don't have a good relationship at all. But I do respect his hustle and IQ. You go on, you put two, but now this is later. He says, you put 2 of the smartest guys in the league on the floor with the weapons we have. I like the odds. You put Bill Gates and Paul Allen in a room and you get Microsoft. That's how I see it. And that's exactly how it's going down. Once upon a time, these 2 guys didn't like each other. Just like the other guys that I mentioned, Michael Rodman, Magic Bird, Laimbeer Mahorn. But now that I've watched them together, this is a marriage made in heaven. They're actually, I saw it. You can tell me what you want. I was sitting like 6 feet from them. And I watched them. Boy, they just, like I said, I'm shocked they won't be at each other's weddings if they have another one. Pro athletes have a lot of second weddings. I don't know. But the point being that these 2 once rivals are now actually on each other's side. And I'll say this also, Chris Paul is more important than Draymond Green. And that part might be a little more ruffling of feathers, but it's absolutely true. This season, Chris Paul is actually more important than Draymond. And I will say that with 1,000% confidence. Again, I saw it up close. The second unit now led by Chris Paul is just a whole nother level. They are plus 31 as of this podcast being recorded. First 4 games, they're already plus 31. Their bench is plus 31. Their bench is actually increasing leads thanks to Chris Paul. Draymond Green is going to be still useful in some situations, but if there's any way, if I had to really, you made me be honest and say who's more important by what I've seen and what I've seen early, it is clearly Chris Paul. It is clearly leading that second unit, making Kuminga and others, and just being high IQ and smart and knowing what to do and being calm and not being Jordan Poole, being the antithesis of that, and not being a headless chicken running around, but instead thinking out every second of the game, looking at 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s, who's in what position, who should be here, who should do this. If you get to watch Chris Paul live, watch that man break things down. He is truly a very intelligent player, and man, he has already made Steph Curry's life so much easier. Way more, I'm sorry, than even Draymond's ever done. Chris Paul and what he's done with that second unit by making them plus 31 already and by extending leads and giving Steph Curry not just a chance to get his rest, but to come in with less pressure that he has to save the world and do everything every single time. All last season, if you watch these poor Warriors, God, poor Steph, when I say had to do everything, he had to do everything. Now he's able to come in relaxed, and you're already seeing, like I showed you from the warm-up video and the other things that he's doing, Steph Curry, as I said before, is even better than he's been in previous years. Steph Curry has his shot and his game stuck on absolutely stupid. I mean, besides the one that I saw, did y'all see the 42 he just dropped the other day? This was out there in New Orleans against these poor Pelicans. This is what happens when you get a relaxed, healthy, ready Steph Curry this year, who now has Chris Paul taking a lot of the pressure off by getting that second unit being able to be up to snuff. The old strength in numbers Warriors that are a little bit different, where, Steph was able to, do what he had to do when he had to do it, but not be asked to do everything all the time and be the center point of it and have these record-setting point plus-minus differentials from when he was on the court versus when he was off the court. Now he gets to relax and be more himself, and you can see the work he's put in the offseason. His trainers, others have spoke about this. They said, look, Steph Curry's on another level. When you watched him just warming up, I was like, Steph Curry, his shot looks better than I've ever seen. He's the best ever to do it, and he looks better than he ever has. He's playing with folks right now. It's early, and yes, I know there's other MVP candidates, Luka, Jokic. There's other guys out there that are killing. But this dude, it's crazy how much in just a few months, it's like, God, he looks better. He looks more relaxed. I think thanks to Chris Paul, he's able to go ahead and have more fun out there when he's playing and less pressure and less expectation, which almost any guy will tell you just helps you loosen up and go. And a loose, free Steph Curry, as the Pelicans just found out, is just a nightmare. 42 points in 30 minutes, and he's dicking around with them. I mean, as you watch these later highlights, he's just screwing with them. I mean, these poor guys, when they would switch off, guys like Matt Ryan and others, Zion Williamson, they were just barbecue chicken. Because he doesn't have to worry. They're up 16. Chris Paul's finding him in the right spot, as you see right there. He's able to, just play free and loose. And if you let Steph get a lead on you and he gets hot like he did here at the end of this game, it's not just dunzo. He's going to start screwing with you. Like, look what he does to poor Zion. Two people on him does not matter. And he's laughing as he does it. Watch as he makes this shot again. This little three-point shot from, behind the backboard corner. And then this is just goofy. Just taking people to the hole without even any fear. And this one here, that is so in rhythm, and that is so perfect. Again, when I talk about he's the best shooter the world's ever seen, look at how easily he shoots that ball, and look at the splash. It is just another level, and really I have more Chris Paul to think about this than I do Draymond Green so far, and I do think the Warriors are definitely a title contender this year, and a lot of people haven't paid attention to them. I thought Lil Weezy the other day made a good point, saying that Steph is like the Tom Brady now of the NBA. Yes, he's getting older. Yes, he's doing a lot of things in his mid-30s. But every year you count Steph Curry out, just like you did a couple years ago, he comes back stronger, his team comes back stronger, and suddenly they surprise you. They're not surprising me. Steph Curry is just on another planet right now. The Warriors are looking absolutely phenomenal. Chris Paul has made that bench actually a strong point instead of a weakness. They are going to kick some serious ass this year. Obviously every team comes down to health, but a lot of what I saw was just like, man, this whole thing with Steph and Clay is already beautiful, but now that you had Chris Paul and Draymond, and oh, by the way, they're getting along and they're acting like little best friends already just 4 games in, the Warriors are in a real spot to make a huge push and make a huge threat in the Western Conference. Keep an eye on Golden State, not just because they're one of my favorite teams ever, because they really are legit. Holy shit good this year. I am so excited and happy for the Golden State Warriors. All right, last thing I want to get into. And I say this with all due respect, and I want to be careful, and I want to be nice. I am not saying this to be rude. I am saying this because I am being deadly serious. As I watch the Rockets game, let me go ahead and preface one more time. I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm not saying this to be rude. I am honestly giving you my at least best explanation I can think of why this person is sometimes this way and continues to act this way. As I watch the Warriors-Rockets game from the floor, I really do question if Dillon Brooks is a little bit low IQ. Hear me out. I'm not being a dick. I am not making fun of him. I am asking a very honest question. I don't know, man. Dillon Brooks, you watch him up close sometimes and watch him a whole game. All the dogs aren't barking, man. I mean, there's just something. It just never. He is just. I don't know, man. If Dillon Brooks is not in like the 80 to 95-ish IQ range, I'd bet at least, I'd bet a good amount of money. I don't know if I bet my whole life savings. I'd go ahead and bet at least half. If you gave me an opportunity, said, hey, look, we're going to take Dillon Brooks behind a room somewhere, we're going to give him an IQ test. You have the range of 85 to 96-ish, somewhere around there. Would you take that deal? Absolutely. In this deal or no deal situation we're talking about, if I got to pick, if we're doing numbers and I get to pick where I think his range is at, I'm gonna say probably 85, 90. He's just, man, he reminds me of the other ones whose dogs weren't barking and maybe seemed a little bit slow. I'm thinking of guys like Metta World Peace, Lance Stevenson, Dillon Brooks. It was one of the weirdest, dumbest signings in the history of ever that the Houston Rockets, for whatever reason, thought putting 4 years and $80 million in Dillon Brooks on a young team that needs leadership, that could use some outside shooting, that could use a little bit more than just a guy who does try hard on defense, but is also absolutely out of his gourd sometimes and just makes piss-poor decisions over and over and over and over. I have no clue why the Rockets thought signing Dillon Brooks was ever a good deal, and seeing it up close, it's not just that he doesn't work out on the court, that he really doesn't fit into what they're trying to do. I am telling you, and I am being legit in my assessment, I don't think he's that remedial, whatever the term you want to use is. And if you think I'm just being a dick, again, I will bring it up here. I will show you. 85 to 95. What is that IQ range and what does that entail? And I will get the Dillon Brooks highlights up here, or lowlights, whatever you want to call it. And let me go ahead and read you out loud. What are these symptoms and what are the, whatever you want to say, the signs of somebody being around the 85 to 95 IQ range? And I do not know Dillon Brooks. I do not ever met him personally. I'm going by what I've seen and what he said, all right? So let me go ahead and get this up here. Dillon Brooks, as I pointed out, is, in my guess, somewhere in the 80 to 90 range. What does that actually entail? Guys that are in the 80 to 90 range on an IQ test can perform routinized hands-on tasks without supervision as long as there are no moments of choice and it's always clear what has to be done. This is also the IQ range that is most associated with violence. Most violent crime is committed by males in the 80 to 89 IQ range. Their levels inherently tend to go with having less impulse control. They're less able to delay gratification. They are less able to comprehend the moral principles of like the golden rule and have a hard time with demands on society. So one more time to repeat, if you're in the 80 to 89 range, which is kind of where and I'm not being rude, I kind of think he might be in that level, they can perform, routine tasks and be able to follow. They can read, write, they can function like normal people for the most part, and they can do things that you explicitly tell them to do. But if they are allowed to use their impulse, which they have no control over, they tend to be violent, they tend to lash out, they tend to make bad decisions, because if you let them be in control and let them make decisions, they usually make the wrong one. Does that not sound like a guy who, I don't know, does a lot of dirty fouls, has a lot of suspensions and ejections, aggravates the best players in the world like Steph Curry and LeBron James for no reason, actually makes them play better, dresses like an imbecile, dresses like Stone Cold Steve Austin, dresses like Rick James for no damn reason? Think Forrest Gump in the Army. Remember when Forrest Gump finally in the Army, in that scene when he's in basic training and they go up to him and the drill sergeant's like, "What are you supposed to do there, Forrest?" Exactly what you tell me to. God damn it, Gump. You must be a genius. I mean, in certain areas, they are able to do very, very well, and in athletic performance and other parts are able to do very, very well if you give them instruction. But if you don't give them instruction and you allow them to make their own choices, they make piss poor ones. They make violent ones. They're very toned. They're very up to a lot of lack of impulse control. They make a lot of bad decisions. Even though it continually hurts them and continually makes them make steps backwards, they do not seem to learn their lesson. They only continue to usually get worse and worse and worse. Tell me this doesn't sound like a Dillon Brooks. Tell me this doesn't sound like old memories of Lance Stevenson or Ron Artest or whoever else. I'm not trying to say this to be rude. I am being deadly serious. I watch Dillon Brooks, and I don't know if all his dogs are barking.
I ain't got a good brain.
I've watched him over and over do things where I'm like, I don't think it's all there. And seeing it up close just only reinforced my thoughts even more. This is not to be rude, and I know Dillon Brooks, and by the way, he's big. He's built like a football player. Could kick my ass from here to Kingdom Come. I don't think he's very bright, and to be honest, I wouldn't want to have to go against him in one-on-one, but I think I'd have a good chance in certain other areas.
I know. Let's have a spelling contest.
The fact that he thought it was a great idea to press Steph Curry was one of the funniest things to watch live in human history. After just a couple times of getting cooked, this is the one that finally made the overall, highlights on SportsCenter. But I got to see this live. In case y'all missed this, this was actually the third time in about a minute and a half where Dillon, in all of his brightness, decided to continue to pressure Steph Curry man-to-man at half court. And boy, he just didn't embarrass him. He made him look silly. He made him look really, really bad. Well, go ahead and watch this. Watch that again. It's just brutal as he makes the shock face.
Off of him. Oh, crossed him over. Let Brooks fly by. Oh, no. Oh, Steph Curry needs to get Brooks off of him.
Last time. Absolutely cooked him. Absolutely cooked him. And by the way, this is because Steph has a long memory. In case y'all are thinking, again, I'm just being kind of rude or whatever, I'm really trying to give a true assessment and explain why I think Dillon Brooks acts the way Dillon Brooks does. This is all just like the LeBron stuff from a year ago. You got to remember a couple years ago that he was the Warriors' pain in the ass and pain in their, rear end. And Steph remembered all this. There was this was a closer close-up of it. But look right here. He gives him a look and says, I remember what you did. I remember what you said. Look at this one more time. This is exactly right before, as you were watching in the game. Again, Dillon was doing all sorts of weird little elbows and things, and Dillon would hit like one shot out of 8, and he would make this face at Steph like he just dunked on him. He just, again, it just doesn't seem like it's all there, man. I don't know how else to describe it. So at one point, this was Steph being like, word, you're going to...
It's immaculate execution.
Smile and laughing. Yeah, it's about to be real funny. I mean, he had him dancing. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Yeah, oh my God. We were all in the crowd just like, bruh. You just got your ass cooked. One last time. I got to see it one more time. It's too funny to me. Let me turn down the volume here and just go ahead and watch. This is double crossover behind the back. Tries to press him again. Now he's going to jump. I mean, Dillon Brooks, is it your first day? Is it your first day on a basketball court? Has no one told you to not go ahead and maybe press Steph Curry? And after the third time in a row you press Steph Curry, did you not think after all the memories that he had, he wasn't going to make you dance? Dillon Brooks is not all there.
I ain't got a good brain.
85-90. If I had to take a guess, 85-90 would be where I would put him in the scale of IQ. I just think showing the tendencies that he shows, the lack of impulse control, not being able to make good decisions when left in his own, devices to do so. These are all the symptoms of someone in that range. Able to read and write, able to function, able to perform very good tasks, especially with given instruction. But when they're asked to make their own decisions and do things on their own, they do things like try to press Steph Curry from half court 3 times in a row at the end of a game. They do things like get suspended and ejected, for hitting people in the nuts or doing things repeatedly. They make dirty fouls that end up getting revenge. They piss off people like LeBron James and Steph Curry. They do things like Lance Stevenson did, blow in their ear and other weird-ass stuff like that. They dress like an imbecile. They go out pregame in the locker room. They're dressed like Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're dressed like Rick James. They make nonsensical, weird decisions over and over and over. And oh, by the way, are the most of any of the groups in the IQ number range that are prone to violence and are prone to making all sorts of, either violent threats or decisions because they don't have any control over their impulses. What did I say wrong? What did I say that... So to review, Steph and Clay, watch them warm up someday. It's one of the coolest, greatest things you could do ever live because they are the truly best of things at a billion. I would say Chris Paul and Draymond Green was also interesting to see on the sideline because they are becoming already BFFs, a la the old guys before them that used to hate each other and now are best friends. Guys like Kobe and Artest, Lambeer Mahorn, MJ Rodman, Magic Bird, etc. And again, Dillon Brooks, not all his dogs are barking. I don't think he's all the way slow. I think he's just a little bit below certain levels because he shows me repeatedly signs and tendencies that let me know not everything's always there with him, and sometimes he just has something wrong with him that makes him not be able to control his impulses. Okay. I'm done. Video time.
You seen it? You seen it? Don't look at me. Don't look at me, little puppet.
Have you seen this? Have you read about this?
All right, let's get back into it here. This is just something I like to do at the end of the show. I got some fun videos here for you just to go ahead and cleanse the palate, not pick on any poor people anymore, and just have a little fun. Tricky Guy Sports YouTube search. You can find all this on YouTube. All right, so this is the bonus feature where we watch this stuff on YouTube and have fun and react together to all sorts of funny little videos. What I want to start with, you know, as I've said before, and let's do something inspirational here. There's always, you know, never give up. Never give up. I think sports has taught us that. Never give up, never quit on life. You can do it. All those great things put together, right? Doesn't mean it's always over. I think sports has taught you that more than anything, right? It's never always over. Sometimes you can fight through adversity. Sometimes you can have no legs and be a wide receiver. Not joking, not being rude. Wide receiver in a high school game, and he had no legs. Check this out. Look at him go.
This is how legends are made.
Caught it. He has no bottom torso. He has no torso. He was able to make a catch. Look at that one more time. I mean, look, obviously he's not going to get you on a go route, but I mean, that could be hard to keep an eye on. You know what I mean? If you're a defense, I don't know. I mean, there could be a possibility that at least at a high school level, he can continue to have success. I don't know much of this kid's story, but that's pretty damn cool to see. Just to have the balls to even go out there and be willing to put himself out there is truly, that's cool. I like that. That's a nice story. That's a nice story there. I enjoy that. Sometimes in life, you can overcome the odds. I got another one here, and I know what you're thinking. That guy had no legs. What about a guy with no arms and no legs? I know what most people think when you see a man with no arms, no legs. Be great for cornhole. Be great for a cornhole. You're absolutely right. Check this out. This guy's named Dayton Weber. He's a quadruple amputee. And he's now an American cornhole player, and he has no arms, and he has no legs. Quadruple amputee. Look at him go. He's good. He's a professional cornholer. Like I said, I mean, I guess sometimes you associate your brain. Oh, no arms, no legs. Be great for cornholing. You're right. You're 100% right, because he's really good. Dayton Weber. I don't know his story. I can't imagine. Because if he's a quadruple amputee, that means that once upon a time he had all his limbs and had to lose it. That's one of the hardest, saddest things in the world. Didn't stop him. Didn't stop Dayton. How awesome is that? How cool is that? Giving elbow daps, loving his life, man. Good shit. That's really cool. Seriously. I like to make jokes, and yes, I make it a cornhole joke, but I mean, still, come on, man. You have that strength, you have that personal, you got that in you, that you could lose all your limbs and say, you know what, I'm still going to be good at something. I'm going to be a professional at something. This guy did it. Dayton Weber did it. Professional cornholer. Didn't give up, didn't go run off, didn't go Lieutenant Dan, just drink himself to death. No, he found something he could do, and he excelled at it. I wouldn't even make jokes. I can't get mad at that. That's cool stuff. That's inspirational, cool stuff. It is what it is, man. Is what it is. Good for him. What else did I want to bring you today? Let's keep along with there's always a chance. That there's always a chance There's always an ability. There's always a possibility, right? You never know when you're going to be able to accomplish something. You'll never know if you can do it until you try, and never give up and never surrender and Rudy and all that other stuff. This is going to go to the animal kingdom. I've got a fish who's just said, you know what? There's still a chance. There's still a possibility. And damn it, I'm going to pull it off. This is one of the coolest, funniest, weirdest videos I've found on the internet in a while. So let me go ahead and just kick things off. Okay, so there's some bird, found himself a fish, right? About to have lunch, about to have dinner, you know. But there's always a chance. Now we're going to break it down into slow motion. And this gets really cool. Almost got him. He's got him now. He's got him between the beak, man. He's got him between the beak. This fish is done, right? Oh, he's about to get flipped in. He squeezes out. He squeezes out. Now there, he's in the gullet. He's done. He's done. Nope. Fish keeps fighting. Keeps on going. Keeps on going. Keeps on going. Do it. Do it. God. And he's gone. And he made it. And he survived. I thought that was pretty interesting there. I thought that was pretty funny. This one is not quite so much as inspirational. I just thought this was hilarious. You know, a lot of animals at zoos and everywhere else want to do this. And whales are smart. People think because we can't talk to them. Whales are considered one of the smartest creatures out there besides humans. And clearly this one had had enough. Enough kids tapping on the glass and everything else. This whale had it at this aquarium, and the wrong kid caught it, and it was all caught on video. Check this out. Oh, tapping on the glass? Word? How about that? Happy Halloween. Oh, she cried. That whale is so proud of himself. So proud of his or herself, whatever that whale is. Every day, these damn kids tapping on my glass. It's my pain, woman. You don't know what my life is like. He's got such a smirk on his face. I mean, he clearly seeks that child out. Stinking kids. Everyone stares at me all day. No moments of privacy. You know what? You know what? Take that. Poor baby. Poor baby. What else do I got? You know what? I'm looking at the time. I got to call it. I got to call it for today. I think I'm out of time here. I always want to thank you guys for joining me, and I'll talk to you again soon, and I love you. Bye-bye.